Hi, welcome to the stream. What's going on? I've been sifting through some graphics from uh, Armageddon Onslaught of all places, and I found some pretty half-decent placeholder particles. But I don't know that I can use any of them immediately. A lot of them are, for sure, very specific. Sup, Veek? I see you carried our DMs to the chat instead of just responding there. Now, this is kind of neat. You don't often see shit like this. You could probably overlay that on top of something. I don't know how you would show it. Like, it would just have to be visual. Like, there's no animation to it, right? So either we would have to make it animate in a different way. One thing that I think we should have in Iscript is a play frame offset opcode thing. You know what I mean? Like, we have that in A's, but I feel like that should be an Iscript thing. Like, there should be a way to call a block that then sets a command like offset 17 and then or offset 100 or whatever, like whatever the offset is. And then when you return, you're playing these animations, but the offset is configured to a certain amount. So say there's 17 frames in the first color of that of this, right? It's blue. And then we get another frame set. Well, so there's 16. So then we get another frame set of 16 that is like red or whatever color. And then we call this thing in the middle of its animation or like at the beginning of its work animation or something. While it's working, all it does is it sets the thing and then it plays the local animation. Well, I guess we need something else because we basically need a way to have animations not jitter and jump around. Like a big problem is when you're in the middle of an animation, say you have an involved working animation, there needs to be a way to say, all right, play the same sequence you've been playing, but end it after. You know what I mean? Or like if there's a 7-frame animation and I'm 5 frames into it, and then that's my working animation, and then I finish a unit. All I do is instantly snap back. I skip the last 2 frames and I instantly snap back to the beginning of my idle animation. There's got to be a better way to write animation code so that it kind of interpolates between these things. Now in 3D you just interpolate, but in 2D there's got to be a way to have some sort of setup there where like it detects that you've got X number of frames to go to wind down in the animation, and it plays it in that sequence. I don't know. There's got to have something that we can implement in Iscript to do that, because that is really infuriating. When you could separate data into separate containers and not check if with every entity of it. Well, it seems like the less you use, the better, to the point where you would want to use as little as possible. As far as the if statements go, or like the branches. Big switch with every unit ID, just point a memory of object with all the methods related to it. I'm not sure. I don't really know that much about polymorphism, but I'm sure there's definitely better, more memory efficient ways and more readable ways to handle your fucking code so that you're not doing a series of hard code unit ID checks or order ID checks or whatever. It's just infuriating. Anyway, I was thinking of the reason why I was thinking of all that Iscript stuff is like we're looking at this thing that's turning, and if I wanted to change its color to indicate that it was or make it move faster, like change its speed at which it's moving, or change its height or something like that, I want to be able to do that without fucking with any of its sequence. I want it to keep the same sequence of 0 to 15 back to 0, right? I want to be able to just keep doing this, and then also tell it to like move up or play at an offset or something, so that whatever the next frame is keeps the sequence. I guess multi-runs would do that. You would multi-run a command, or you would just, I guess in the Iscript block, you'd be looking at something like it would be like overlay idle, or it would be like local, and then it would, you know, play frame 1, wait 1, play frame 2, play frame 15. And then overlay working would be like multi vert pause, go to overlay local 0, 0, and then overlay, or sorry, vert pause would be like and then I guess there would be like I guess you would have to have some sort of if command that would kill this after the working animation was done. Or you'd have to have some way to turn this off afterwards. But something like this would add a lot more flexibility to animation code. It would be really nice to be able to do something like that. Unfortunately, we don't really have that luxury. No, you can't. I'm complaining about the fact that it's so limited. Even with Ace, it would be, I don't think it would be possible to do what I'm talking about. Although we should get Ace functionality into the code. Really, we should just port that shit to GPTP at this point. GPTP itself is not very well organized and not very well put together, and there's a lot of problems with it, but it's in C++. So those problems are infinitely more approachable than all of the problems with A's. Icor and I have decided we're going to be implementing the extenders into C++ after they're done, so that we're not reliant on A's for nearly as much. And then I don't know when we're going to start porting all of the AI script functionality, but or AI related functionality, I should say. But it's high time we make a dedicated push to doing that, because fuck Rust, pretty much. So this is Iscript rant. Okay, so I'll continue digging through this list later on. There's not really that much for me to dig through, but go ahead and chuck those over there. All right. What's up, Alexander? Okay. Unfortunately, I'm no longer able to add in plugins that I compile. So time to test if the Azazel stuff carried over. I don't know if Icor pulled the junk there. Okay. D-Matrix is still not nerfed in terms of the damage. Original campaign is embarrassing. Still thinking about that, huh? What was I even going to do? Oh yeah, I was going to parasite a unit. All right, cool. So that works. What else is Parasite not working on? It was Consume. It would help if I actually had Consume, I guess. What's up, Ilya? I don't know about what you mean by unit symbol. You're going to have to be more specific. Okay. That's not working either. And it was Saber Siphon was the other one. Wireframes. Yeah, DF makes the wireframes. Saber Siphon is still working. He suggested I must have missed that. YouTube must have flagged that comment as spam. Because I don't see that here. Unless that was somewhere else. I've already played StarCraft 2 like twice now for each bit. I think the only one I haven't played twice on my channel is Wings of Liberty. I played Heart of the Swarm twice. I played Legacy of the Void twice. And I played Nova Covert Ops twice. Giving a lot higher priority to teching and making almost no units. Yeah. I think as time goes on, whether or not that is a proper strategy will be borne out. You know what I mean? Like, okay, Saber Siphon still does it. Okay. Well, now that I tested that, there will be some more changes that Icor has to make to fix up the bugs about Parasite. And in the meantime... Oh, wait, don't I already have this open? What a goofball. All right. So here we are, looking at the layout here. I didn't show this on stream yesterday, but that's because I did it after the stream was over. I've put together Rainer's base. Is he... Oh, I think he's one too small on this side. That's okay. Easy fix. But yeah, the main takeaway here was... Oops. Wait. He's got a nice, reasonable base. Pretty spacious. And while there's Oh yeah, I guess I shouldn't. Since there's no ramp over here, I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't have this ramp over here if it's going to be symmetrical. But anyway, the problem with this base, I can imagine for newer players who are just coming in. There are a large number of ways into it, but I'm trying to push people's conceptualizations of the entrances to their base out a little bit more so that they conceptualize it more as like an entrance to their sphere of influence. So Raynor's sphere of influence, as it is when he's got his AI allies, or all of his allies, whatever, regardless of what their status is pretty much like, okay, you've got this area right here, which is kind of like one entrance, but you can conceptualize it as two, and then you got the bridge. Because the other shit that's in the entire northeastern flank is going to be covered by the magistrate. And, well, I guess the eastern flank is, and the northern flank, which really just feeds into the eastern or western flanks, that's going to be covered by Randall. So, I think that it's okay to have a large number of ramps into the player's actual starting location if you're balancing out the rest of it such that you have you've got a couple of central pathways in. The concern does show up when you consider the presence of a couple of other things. Like in early game scenarios, Zerglings can just run across all of these different ramps, right? So that is a bit of an issue, but units cost much more than text, so it's better to spend early money on things that will accelerate you later. I'm not sure about that one, because it really depends on what you can get done with the units. But I can see where Alexander's coming from, because he's talking about always being a gamble. The question is, like, what kind of information do you have? Do you have information on what the enemy's tech level is, where their early money is going? If so, you can use that information to fuel your own purchasing decisions. But you definitely need a bit of insider knowledge. Oh, wait. Well, that was embarrassing. Wasn't even close to what I was trying to do. Yeah, you trying to be aggressive usually results in the famous Veek style storms. So the problem is when you use so much APM and so much of your action economy on attempting to be deadly in the early game, that you wind up sapping at the value of your economy. So you don't want to, like, it's definitely a balance. So, and what they recommend is that newer players or lower skill players or whatever, players who are trying to improve, to use a less loaded term, they do recommend that you spend more time on your macro than your micro. Because micro is like, it's like the noob trap in a sense that it's what everybody wants to be able to do, but it doesn't actually help you as much as you think it will. Like, you think it's going to be the difference between you winning and losing. But really what it is, like, I mean, in a sense it is, but you think it's like, I have to do this. Whereas if you just have more units, your micro can be a lot less effective because your macro was more effective and it made up for that. And macro is more fundamental, more far-reaching a skill, and so on and so forth. So, like, there's more reasons to learn and attempt to master the macro mechanical aspects of the game because it can apply in more contexts. Whereas micro, like, you need to be exceptionally good at micro in order to make it have a supreme difference over somebody else who's really good at macro. And you still need macro fundamentals so that you can get the units to be micro mechanical with in the first place. So. He reached Templar Archives and was on 2 goons when he was attacked by a full control group of Toss. Yeah. Well, listen, balance in all things, man. Well, even I can't really rely on my own assumptions about how the game works, and I'm the guy who made it. So, like, in some respects, partially because I don't have complete understanding of how Brood War by itself works without any mods, but also because it's so new. Like, we don't have any real lessons plan yet. Well, I mean, even if you just end up saying, like, you don't have to throw everything that you think you know out. All you have to do is say, I'm going to try to see if there's, like, a possible way that my assumption could be wrong. You're just checking your assumption, basically. So if you, like, unchecked assumptions tend to result in issues later down the line, precisely because you don't know that you don't know something. And the longer that goes on, the more powerful the issue becomes, or more, I guess we could say the longer you remain in the dark about something that you could have learned and improved on a long time ago, the more catching up you have to do in the future, if that makes any sense. Yeah, I mean, I think people try to do stuff that, like the timing attacks that Alexander's talking about. I feel like people generally try to avoid that more because they don't really know how to make those work. And it's less about, like, an aversion to the concept. It's like they don't know what the timing actually should be. That would be my guess, anyway. Could be completely wrong about that. Listen, the AI is very good at doing wraith timing attacks, as we've come to find. So I'm tempted to drop this ramp down here for the sake of defensibility, but I think it'll just end up being a doodad rather than anything else. Maybe there will be, like, a north ramp. I could see that happening. Sort of reward the player for getting around them, their starting location or something. It's going to be a little congested otherwise. I have to obviously move the resources around, but I'll do that in a moment. Dad muscle, dude. What do you mean by too vulnerable early? Remember that all of the players down here are completely, like, the farthest possible spacing away from the Zerg. Randall's going to be the main focus, so I wouldn't worry too much about the player in this context. I am open to it being a miscalculation, but... Do you like the mirrored text? You can't even really see. It's pretty epic. Talk about embarrassing. Well, I haven't even finished assembling all this, so... Like I was just explaining, Raynor's got basically two passageways he needs to hold. This valley and this bridge. And that's it. The Magistrate will have this ramp as a side thing, like this ramp complex or whatever, the duplex here. And then, like, up here and up here. But mostly it'll be, like, over here in the top right. Because Randall is going to be in charge of covering everything else. A typo and mirrored. Well, the typo is different. The mirrored was just very common. I do think that the multiplayer maps are very, very difficult to defend. But we also haven't really explored team game metas, and the maps have almost always been super small. So the rush distance is so small that it basically demands rushing. Not only that, but we have players who prefer to rush. So it's like a double-edged sword there. I can't say I'm particularly surprised that people have a hard time defending under those circumstances. I give the Magistrate a bit more cash here since his layout is a little bit less forgiving. Oh, maybe it's fine the way it is. All right, see you later, Veek. Fix Hydra by banning Folka. A tempting idea. Oh, of course, committed some changes. I imagine they're pretty far because at first we didn't even think we were going to support the Twilight tile set, and then Icor said we could make a we could extend the number of tile sets in the game, so we decided to go with that idea. But still, you know. Okay. Pretty much. Yesterday, before my stream, people were talking about how we came so close to having the source models and the source code, and then that guy just decided to hand it off to Blizzard. Man, what a mess. It makes it really, I'm telling you, it makes it very difficult to remain, like, not really motivated as much, but it's like, you can get really lost feeling, bitter at the world. I'll put it to you that way. Because there's so much fucked up shit. And on top of all the fucked up shit, that happens. Yeah, that's the guy who got Overwatch. I really think that that's like a... If you ever get a gift of Overwatch, that's like somebody who basically... You might as well just sue them for a death threat or something. Like, that's basically what they just did. I hope somebody tries to open this map up and then tries to paint over the asphalt, and it just turns into jungle, and they're like, what the fuck? At least he got pranked. Yeah, after pulling that prank on everybody else, at least there was that much justice. How do you mean by news outside of Brood War? To run, I would say there's probably going to be some... I honestly think the next stuff that I do will probably be Age of Empires, but I don't really know. That's another one of those like weird black boxes because there's so many different versions of the games, and on top of it, there's like 80 custom campaigns, or not custom, but 80 official campaigns, which is even more fucking weird to think about. So I don't know. I don't even know if I'm gonna be playing the original. Anyway, I might just decide to skip that one, but we shall see. Otherwise, there's the shitty 3D Command and Conquer games that we still have to play. Oh, planned to make. Yeah, that's a bit of a different conversation. Yeah, I still haven't dabbled that much in Unreal at all recently. Been focusing most of my free time onto this stuff. But wouldn't you know it, I do happen to have a lot more free time now. So I think I was going to focus most of that extra time onto videos as opposed to something specific to the like Unreal Engine or whatever. But Veek started a code base for the RTS. So there's that. I don't know. I don't think it's very far along, but it has begun to exist. I just don't think that anybody will have a huge amount of time to dedicate to it for a while. It's for the Frauds Club RTS. I think our first objective with it is going to be related to we're just going to try to get our own version of Brood War, for lack of a better term. Basically, we're going to try to port Hydra to it. Not just Brood War, but also Hydra. So... What was mirror? Oh, control Y. Still waiting for a way to import tiles without having them get all of their flags replaced. That would be nice. A lot of it will, yeah. I mean, like, really, when I say we're porting Hydra, it's not because, like, I want to be able to play... I don't think it would result in me, quote unquote, finishing Hydra or realizing it as its own RTS. We're basically going to be porting Brood War, except we're also going to be bringing with it all of the Hydra things. So it's not going to be a one-to-one port of Brood War, because I'm not really interested in remaking Brood War. That's not even really what Hydra is about. It's like a vehicle for me to explore my own thoughts and design philosophies for a team-based RTS that has Brood War level skill expression, which is obviously a very different result. So, with that understood about it, it's one of those things that I think it's fine to do that as our first foray into our own game design. Like, if we can recalibrate, or if we can generate an RTS that plays as well as Brood War does, I think we'll have succeeded. Now, obviously, that's a very tall fucking order, but I think it's possible. So, yeah, with any luck, we'll have something going on there. Interestingly enough, I didn't render these with the right palette. Well, I did render them with the right palette, but the rest of the water has got a different palette, so that's why that was happening. Oops. Get out of here. Oh. Opening the sprite palette has apparently crashed SCM draft. It's a good thing I saved. I'm also assuming that's because of changes in the tile set itself. I don't think so. Because again, I don't think he's really done that much. I think he's just like started it or whatever. I can ask him about it when he gets back, if I'm still around by that point. Oh. It looks like we might just have to seal it off. I was going to try to do something fancy, but that's fine for now. Also, come to think of it, I may have actually picked the non-cycle palette just out of habit when I indexed these. That might be what's happening. But anyway, I can always fix it later. It's kind of boring as it stands right now. I was hoping to do something a bit more interesting with it. Just quickly add this to the brush palette. really what I want to be able to do is provide a lot more in the form of, I want to be much less limited in how I'm, like, what I'm actually able to do here. Oh, yeah, well, there you go. We were both thinking about the same thing. Oh, I guess we can just use one of them because they're all the same right now. I definitely won't be doing any weird hardcode shit. One of the advantages of being able to say, hey, I don't have a time constraint on this. I can continue to work on it for as long as I like, and so on and so forth. Like, I don't have to worry that I'm going to have to hardcode some shitty solution in now because we don't have the budget or we, you know, whatever. And hey, at some point, well, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but I would like to be able to. I don't know about like developing it in a studio or anything, but I do think there's something to being able to meet up in the real world with your development team instead of everything being remote. While certainly not a requirement, I think it would help with communication. Right. Yeah, I definitely want to be able to say that you can pop in here and make your own game. Like the idea is, even if you don't, you are in total opposition to the design philosophy that the game showcases. I want it to be you know, players to be able to use it as a platform for their own content if they really want to. So I can't guarantee it'll be like the best platform, but I can certainly try. Wait. Knew something was wrong over there. There you go. Okay. Well, there's a little bit more gameplay over there now. I'll probably fill this in with another set of structure and then maybe shrink this down a bit because it feels pretty boring. Definitely got to continue to rework this area. With any luck, I'll have a half-decent expansion for the Magistrate. I really don't know what to do with this whole southern area. Maybe this can be the giant structure. Like, basically what this is that I'm going to talk about reworking. Maybe this can be the giant structure there, and, like, the players can fight over who gets the base that's down there. While this might turn into a little bit more like this, where it's the low ground with some structures surrounding it or something. I'm right there with you with the whole pixel art thing, man. I fucking suck at 2D. I mean, I also suck at 3D, but I mean, I guess I don't even suck at 3D because I haven't even done anything in 3D yet. So can't even say. I might be a god. You don't know. All right, so we got a little bit of a dabble of work over here done. I'll be right back because I got to use the bathroom, and then I'll probably ship an update to the EXE since iCore fixed some bugs, and I guess I'll ship in the coastal asphalt tiles and the brush palette updates. Let's save those so I don't forget to do that in the future. But yeah, I'll take care of that housekeeping stuff when I return, and then obviously we'll continue reworking this area until it pleases me. BRB. I have returned. Put some music on and see what else I can come up with here. Imagine naming your band The End. All one word, of course. Gonna give this some more space up top. It's not gonna be exactly symmetrical with the amount of space that it has at the bottom, but... Though I'm not really 100% sure why it can't match. I don't know what I was thinking there. Okay. So that's a bit more even. More satisfactory, we'll say. Debating how to match up with some of these other bits if I want to keep any aspect of it, or if I want to toss it all out. I mean, that is the other thing, too, is I don't even know if it makes sense to have a giant pile of structure like what's over here in any capacity. I was planning on adding some nested structure on top of it, some stacked structure, like structure on structure, but there's only really so much you can do with that. Doesn't even look like that's aligned, but I guess my eyes are not working today. It's so painstaking to construct basic shapes, as you might have expected. Okay. Hop into the index real quick and grab some stuff. Oh, you know what? We'll use Bob's guns. All right, so this is a bit more of an interesting idea, I think. Oh yeah, and I have to import the stuff that blends with structure now. I grabbed a bunch of stuff, or not structure, it blends with plating. I mean, with asphalt, like substructure plating and substructure panels. I blended with asphalt for the Badlands tile set. And I feel like we definitely need some more sub-tiles for asphalt other than just dirt. So that may be my focus. Don't know how I missed the fact that those were out of alignment, but you know. Oh, I guess that's not. I don't know. Ah. So there's an opportunity for me to do something a little bit different here, where this ends up being extended by one tile on the left and one tile on the right. And I guess I would just get rid of this entirely. Or maybe it needs to be one more tile. Oh, maybe not. No, it's fine. I was just trying to align it with this right here. Right, because this is aligned with the top, so I wanted to align the right side with the bottom. So that makes sense. And we could even have the resources, like the expansion or whatever, be over here. I'm still not 100% sure what the structural significance of this is going to be. This is kind of like I'm kind of just feeling out and seeing like, all right, what can I actually get done with this? It's a lot harder when you have to piece it together manually because it takes longer for you to get to the shapes that you're going to be looking at. Sorry, one sec. But yeah, I'm mostly focused on trying to find a good spot for an expansion that's going to be useful but not super safe. And that's where I like the fact that there's these wide gaps, and then like that's one way to get in. So I don't know if maybe we should scrap the ramps into this area and go for something different. Not sure. So I feel like we lost some resources over here. What happened? Could probably get stuck over here, but I guess that's fine. It definitely provides a disproportionate amount of risk if some units wrap around here because they can access the mineral field workers. The other thing that this change or this expansion suffers from a lot is like access to defending air units. Like that's a big deal. So I'm thinking right now for this, I might end up being able to do something a little bit different, where I remove these ramps on the north side of it, and I just push the structure itself out a little bit, create a nice open area for build space, but also increases the lethality of drops. And if something like air units hit this area, in order to reinforce, you either have to have forces on the low ground that can attack them, or you have to path all the way up here, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but it probably helps the early accessibility of it, so I'll keep that thought in mind, and maybe I'll end up incorporating it in some capacity. The other thing I was thinking of is lining up the inner corner of this asphalt with the inner corner of the structure complex. Like doing something like this. Like you see how... So it would be something like this. Line it up this way. Obviously the main issue with this is it becomes very, very close to over here in a way that I probably don't want it to be the case. But it definitely helps line things up a bit better, so... All this stuff is very messy right now. But I think this is in a better position than what it was happening over here earlier. And we actually have a place for the Magistrate to be. It's just like right now it feels like both Rainer and the Magistrate don't have a huge amount of build space. I guess if I... Like, once I rework this area, there will be more build space for the Magistrate. So there's that. And there will probably be a base up against this area over here to the immediate right of the Magistrate. Okay. So now we got something that leads directly into this area, which adds a bit more of an impetus to control this region. And I think generally justifies the whole ordeal a little bit more. This side piece obviously is just empty space. What I was thinking is maybe pulling this in one more tile. And then I could add a south-facing ramp over here. And it could be a nice way to flank around too. But it's still super close to the map border, so I'm not 100% sure that that really makes sense. So I guess I could just make it so that all this stuff is over here. I don't really want to encourage this as a pathway, though, because it's so thin and up against the map border that, like, it breaks that rule, generally speaking. So I don't really know what we could put here as a pathing blocker that wouldn't look super out of place on a constructional level. And you know, maybe it's fine that it's the way that it is, but right now we got a pretty good lineup, generally speaking. I'm not unhappy about that. Should probably make a blend with asphalt and grass, honestly. I think that would help. So, like the dirt blend, but having grass there instead of dirt. Welcome back. Still debating what to do about all this stuff over here, but this, yeah, the command center is marked the mains right now. There's a ton of build space out here, so should be plenty of room for turrets and movement. Right now I'm trying to create an area where it'll be not unreasonable to expect some sort of attempt to wall off. Oh, I was just going to look for asphalt doodads in this fucking palette. Forgot what tile set I'm in. So alternatively, what I might end up doing is shoving the minerals and gas up against the wall over here, and putting the command center further out so that it's a bit more natural for people to path around. It's like right now the issue I can see is that there's little immediate understanding that, oh, I should probably be moving my shit or whatever. And I could just wrap this area in dirt later on. Fraud Tonys. Well, the whole thing isn't done yet, so you're extrapolating based on an incomplete map. But I can see why you might consider it to be too open in its current form. Probably going to be some more cover or something that gets dropped over here. I sure hope my new phone comes today and not comes before I leave for work, because it's basically like the app for my work is so slow on my current phone. It's basically unusable. It's the Note 9, Samsung Note 9. I had it before, a while ago. But my father decided to stop paying for his part of the phone, and I wasn't going to pay for it, or not, like, basically he signed everybody up for a plan, and then he stopped paying his share, so it became way too expensive. Or it would have been if I had even bothered trying to. So I said, fuck that. Unfortunately, because I really like the phone. But that's okay. Now I bought one outright now that the prices are a bit more reasonable, so I'll just add it to my current carrier. Yeah, no kidding, Iquare. Is it sensible to have shop doodads in Badlands Space Platform having gameplay functionality? Yeah, it's probably better to focus on your map. Anyway, well, the thing is, like, I don't know what you would even bother getting from the neutral camps in that sense. Yeah, there's going to be a few more or a few more walkers, and yeah, walker power will definitely be using paladins. What's up, Veek? Oh, I guess that is more aligned. I thought I was gonna have to do some funky shit. Oops. What's up, DF? It's going pretty well. Yeah, we have to make our own engine pretty much. What's up, Folka? No point using Unreal Engine 4 if it doesn't give us anything. Yeah, there's nothing there to start us off with. We would have to be programming everything on our own. People have made plugins or whatever, but it's not really that well off at this point. Oh, how is it? What are problems with Unreal Engine 4? Well, it's just that for every other kind of game you can imagine, pretty much, you could use Unreal Engine 4 and it has some sort of prefab stuff for you to start in. All we would be using, I think we would take advantage of their shaders or something, like maybe some of the low-level code if we built our engine, if we built our RTS framework in Unreal 4. But beyond that, we don't have anything. Like, it doesn't actually give us a leg up on making our own engine, pretty much. Like, I'm sure there's some things that we do get, but is it worth, you know, constraining yourself in that way? I don't know if it is. Apparently, I forgot to expand this one out. Oh, wait, I didn't want to expand this one out. That's what happened. Oh, good job. Good upgrade. Does not allow you to do anything more than 2D rendering in Scene Editor. Right. I wouldn't want to piggyback off of whatever they're using for 2D anyway. Right. We might end up using Vulkan, but apparently its code base is pretty hard to dig into. And yeah, it could be certainly possible. Excuse me. I guess I am a little tired today. Of course my device needs to restart to install updates. Of course it does, Windows. Oh, man. No, I don't think anybody's done anything low level with GPU. But yeah, looking at other open source RTSs might be useful. Oh yeah. I should probably plug in the changes to some of this stuff. Actually, I don't even remember if I added in the latest plugin. I think I did. Yeah. That's the one. Okay. Wow. You've got a way around your lack of cold water then, I guess. Or clean cold water, we should say. Every bit helps. I still can't believe you guys are still dealing with the fucking cold water stuff. Hey, check this out down here. There's a bit of the spire animation that they didn't bother... Since they didn't bother animating the shadow, the spire animation occasionally pops out of its shadow. Isn't that epic? Isn't Blizzard just epic? What a disaster. Yeah, they animated the lurker, I mean the Overmind Cocoon. They animated that. That's the only one with an animated shadow out of all of this. I don't know, because it's a Brood War thing, probably. Pretty ridiculous. I forget what I was going to test. Oh, yeah. I needed to test Saber Siphon with Parasite. Yeah, dude. The captaincy's big, okay? I think I had a placeholder graphic for the nanite assembly, but I don't remember where I put it. I think maybe it's still in the Oh, here it is. I think it's still kind of fucked up. I had to manually reorder the frames. It's almost perfect. It's just that at what point you can see that the light's consistent up top here, and then for one frame it darkens. I'm gonna need to fix that, but otherwise, like, that should be pretty easy. It's just a copy paste job, but although I guess the stuff over here is also kind of doing it, but again, I can fix that with relative ease. Team color needs to be fixed too, but it's whatever. Oh yes, then we have a giant turret. I don't know about that one. There's all of these graphics here. Biggest problem with all of them is they all have the glow as part. You can see it in this one. They all have the glow as part of the animate as the base sprite. It's not like a separate graphic, and the transparency of it all, it gets destroyed with the normal method of like, these graphics have transparency in them, and that means that all of the borders are these faded outlines instead of there being like a strong inking outline or something around them, like in Brood War. So I fixed that by doubling the like just copying and pasting or duplicating the graphic over and over again. But doing so also fucks up anything that's meant to be a transparent effect like this. So I don't really know what the solution to that one would be. I don't know if there is one. So some of these don't have the same issues, but others do, like this. This one might be okay. I want the final cut of all of the high-tech buildings to be pretty large, though. I guess this could also be the nanite assembly, but it's pretty large. Oh, maybe that's fine. Yeah, they do have to be overlays, but I mean, I can't separate the graphic from... I mean, I guess I could take the top and have that be the animated overlay and have that be separate, but we would want to index the visual stuff as a with a transparent palette, so it couldn't just be lopping the top off. It would have to reconstruct the source. So yeah, I don't know about that one. So that graphic could definitely be used. And then I have this one. I don't even know what graphic that is. Oh, check this out. Oh, this could be the quantum... I forget what it's called. Hold on. Quantum Institute. I could definitely have a use for that. Though their almost built frames are fucking enormous. So that would look really out of place for the time that it lasted. But yeah, a lot of these could definitely end up working. The Zerg clone thing is like a bunch of flowers or something, and they are so fucking confusing to look at to try to convert. Anyway, all that stuff is to be determined in the future. Can't even implement it right now. But it's gonna be cool. This winding dick road here will probably be made a bit more straightforward. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had that one right. Oh yeah, I mean if you wanted to give that a shot, I'm sure that there could be like maybe that'll even help you get a better look at what the real stuff would look like in a perfect world or whatever. You know what I mean? Because you're working with more examples, you might be able to get closer faster. Oh wait. So now we kind of got fucked because we're keeping this in alignment with this, but not with this or that. You mentioned I mentioned I don't like cooldowns and mana systems for spells. What other kind of system did I have in mind? Well, considering energy as a resource that has more ways to return to the caster than just regenerating over time, basically. So Ascendancy as a High Templar upgrade gives High Templar who have the upgrade more energy if they are near units that die to Psystorm and to Ephemeral Blade hallucinations. So if a Templar's spellcast is responsible for killing a unit, then all nearby Templar with the upgrade get an energy return. What's up, Spider? So the idea behind that logic is it encourages aggressive positioning and allows you to get more value out of the unit than if you're really good with using the unit, basically. And that's the kind of system that I had in mind for gating the power of spellcasters. Like if you overplay your hand, you dump your load too soon, then you don't have any power to actually go anywhere with it. You know what I mean? And to that end, I don't have cooldowns beyond like weapon cooldowns or whatever. You don't see any of that stuff in my projects because all cooldowns are basically an admission that the developer couldn't balance it. So they just made it so that you can't cast it so often. That's the idea behind the Legionnaire being able to teleport as often as possible, as long as it's satisfying the conditions of the ability. And that's really what I want out of Hydra's stuff. Like when you see a spellcaster, you know that it can be powerful if used correctly. And the usage of it, the skill of the user, that is what determines the utility and the power budget of the unit. Alongside some immutable characteristics, such as how they're balanced, like how much damage they do or whatever. So yeah, generally I balance around the idea, like, I sort of have a similar, I can find a parallel between my thought process for sound staging and my thought process for game design, for lack of a better term, is you kind of want every single aspect to be impactful and powerful, but also quickly move out of the way so other things can also be impactful and powerful. You know what I mean? So in a sound staging environment, this is like having sound effects that are not even necessarily loud, but distinctive, recognizable, put there with purpose. And they communicate whatever they're meant to communicate, and then they go away and let some other sound effects in to do whatever they have to do. That's my sort of paradigm that I approach sound design of all kinds with. That you need something distinctive, and you need something that has purpose, and you need it to get the fuck out of the way when it's done, so that some other stuff can come in. So you can't have too really like long-winded things that take too long to, like, they communicated their idea already, and now they're overstaying their welcome. We don't need any of that. Just get it out of there. And with that thought process, I think I've mirrored that in many ways with the whole game design process of saying, here's an ability, there's no cooldown on it, it's impactful for that brief period of time where the user of the ability or the behavior or whatever is able to make it work. Like it can be a very impactful thing, and then it gets out of the way and lets something else do it, or lets another instance of that ability come in, or whatever. It's not a one-to-one perfect comparison, but I like to conceptualize it that way, generally speaking. I think it lends to a better overall construction. And it also more or less mandates that I actually have a reason for doing something, and that I can justify the action of balancing something a certain way. It's not the Badlands tile set. That's why. You see how it says ruins, raised jungle, high jungle, temple? Trust me, I wish I was using auto tiling. Really, the only saving grace to this is at least I know my environments are going to look nice because it's not going to get destroyed by the randomizer. Well, if I was an intelligent enough programmer, I would have just built my own modding tool or mapping tool by this point, but unfortunately, here we are. Now maybe this... Ah, check that out. So this actually did help me out a little bit, bringing everything in line with itself. Or maybe it was right the first time. No, that's good. Nah. You can't expect people to do the right thing, man. Yeah, that's one of the main things we want to add, DF. If you can read the Brood War MPQ, that means you can place the data in a map tile set, and maybe, just maybe, something will result. Yeah. Well, thankfully, the format for that stuff is somewhat documented already. Icor was working on trying to get it to work a while back, I think. I don't know how far he ever got with programming his own set, but... Do I ever had a bug with my melee script where workers and resources attached to position 0, 0? No, something is fucked up, though, because area town scripts seem to be bugged in the latest build, and I can't figure out why. So maybe you know something that might be broken there. Kian posted a debug map a while ago that you can run with the Hydra exe for more information. Yes, everybody has asked SI to release it. Literally everybody. Wait, what? I'm off by one tile somewhere, I guess. Looks right to me. You don't have 1,000 hours per day to finish mapcore in a reasonable time? Yeah, if only, man. Hey, don't leak my next mapcrap submission, Don. What's wrong with you? You're gonna ruin everything. Yeah, I don't know how the fuck this is out of whack. Like, this is fine. That's all fine. Oh, is this the one that's fucked? No, even that's fine. What the fuck? What broke? I don't get it. I want my mom. I want to travel back in time and be the man who gives birth to, or be the man who gives birth to SI, by the way. Be the man who sires SI, who becomes the father of SI, so that I can travel back to the present and say, hey man, I'm your dad. Now give me the source code. Yeah, unfortunately, like, trying to balance doing all of this work at the same time is really what's killing us, I think. Alright, so I've completely lost my fucking mind. I don't know what happened over here. Yeah, that's fine. Like, how is it out of alignment on this end, but everything else is fine? That's what I don't understand. I want to be the man who gave birth to SI, dude. It's too bad Mutus isn't here right now, because if you guys, like, Spider was not here when this happened, but you guys remember that fucking lunatic that joined, that Sunset Ravencrow or whatever his name was? No, specifically, man who gives birth to SI. It has to be that guy. But he was like, Omegas should have a vagina. This is very obvious. He's like talking about fucking weird ass fanfiction stuff. That really was like, that really was the argument for deleting Special Bus. That man's existence. I don't see why it wouldn't be a thing. I don't see a reason to limit it. All right, I'm for a rare moment here. I'll probably be closing the stream down soon, even though it hasn't been that long, because I'm just not feeling it today, to be honest with you guys. But such is the price you pay when you do this daily since fucking November. I'm gonna put on some shit from Eidolon, aka Spider. I'm gonna give him some feedback, dude. This is supposed to be, I should say before we keep playing it, this is supposed to be a set of tracks for the Primal Zerg for UED. So there you go. The little guitar bits that you have towards the end definitely remind me of regular Zerg, but I'm not sure if it's a little like the. I was just listening to synthwave before this, so it kind of reminds me of that. But the more electronic side drums definitely feel distinct. But I mean, I'm not UED commander, so I can't really say whether or not it would fit with that. But let's listen to the second sketch. Yeah, I think these drums are better suited for the job. And you have some sort of horn in the background, it sounds like? It sounds like a war horn or something. Yeah, I think the second take is certainly a bit more in the right direction for something that is more akin to what he said on a verbal level. The thing is, we're going through an language barrier with UED Commander because he speaks English relatively well, but he is Russian, so his idea for certain things might be a little bit different than what he's actually writing. But just on a literal translation of what he says, I think that definitely sounded a bit more tribal. I'm not sure if one of the things that Veek does say is Veek said that it might be a little too epic, and what I think he means, and what at least I noticed, is it definitely sounds very dominant as far as the mix goes, and I can't criticize like the construction of the whole thing just yet because it's a very short piece, so I don't know if what DF says about the synth melody being like, I don't know if that really rings true because it as far as I understand, it's really just like a tone check more than an attempt to actually construct a arrangement that makes sense from left to right. But I think what Veek was hitting at anyway, or hinting at when he said that it sounded a little too epic, is if I can try to extrapolate based on what I think he means, is that it feels like it's taking it's like dominating the soundstage in a way. Like I can't imagine, unless the music is down really low, I can't imagine like actually playing a game of StarCraft with that music, if that makes sense, because I guess it's slow paced enough that it doesn't like, it's not trying to do too much there, but it does feel like the instrumentation, maybe it's the frequency range, maybe it's the part of the sound. I'm not sure how well it would work in that context, I guess. Yeah. Like that might actually be a fine track to open, like that kind of tone might work for like you start the game, like when you start Hydra and the music starts, you know, you have that Starcraft theme, right? Like something like that might end up working out, or maybe it could be like not a briefing track, but a victory or defeat track or something like that kind of construction, because those you can kind of have more flourishes, you can kind of be a bit more dominant in the soundstage because not as much is going on. You're not like, it's not competing with anything, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not 100% sure how flexible what you're doing with actually, it's like I don't know what programs you're using right now, but for sure it's one of those things that it feels a bit more intimate. Like the way that I've described it in the past is when I was looking for outsourcing voice actors for my old projects, I explained the nature of where like the transmissions were coming from and how most of it was going to be in some of it was going to be in game and some of it was going to be in briefing, but because of the in game aspect, I likened it to being almost like zoomed out, because you are zoomed out. You're not over their shoulder in a third person, and you're not looking through their eyes in a first person. The view is isometric. The view is like bird's eye almost. You know, you're looking at it from top down, and you're like they're speaking you're hearing them. Maybe they're speaking to you, maybe they're speaking to characters, but you're hearing them from that perspective. You almost want it to feel pulled back in that sense. Even the voice acting, you almost want that to feel a little pulled back. Is the best way I can describe it, right? So that's probably what you would want out of the tracks as well, in a sense, is you want that a little bit of it being subdued in some sense. So anyway, figured I would throw that out there so people could give you their thoughts as well. Obviously, I'm not a supreme music critique man, but I think Balethal uses Fruity Loops Studio as well. I don't know what kind of plugins he uses or whatever. Well, we appreciate you coming in and giving back to the community. There's not too many people who can make music. It's definitely a very specific enterprise. Yeah, I should have probably asked you if you minded, but I figured since you posted it in the server, you didn't mind it if I put it up there. I saw when you posted that you were in there, you said something about voice acting as well. That's another thing that we could always use. Is I've got scripts for days for all this shit for as far as voice acting goes, but there's only so many different things that I can only so many different ways I can contort my own voice. Yeah, I have on Start Campaign. What is the bug that you're observing? Oh, I guess it would be an audio probably. Problem is, I wrote them for my I didn't write them with any real like character description because I thought I was going to be doing all of them. So, what are you? What is the nature of your trigger? Is there anything different between the two triggers? The one that breaks? Yeah, I haven't experienced that in any of my maps, but it could be a recent issue, I suppose. All right, first things first, though, before I bother with any of this, I should slap some of this stuff. Yeah, that shouldn't have anything to do with it. Both of the players have start locations. Oh, I should grab the brush. I don't know, man. You're absolutely sure they don't have any other units pre-placed or anything? I guess I would have to take a look at the map itself or something, but yeah, I don't know. Let me see here. This is the script here. Wait, set free ID. I've never experienced any issues with multiple Terran AI running at the same time. But like I said, there is some weird issue going on that I couldn't figure out that Kian reported related to area towns being constantly assigned to the main town, which is not the same bug that you're reporting, but could have something to do with it. Where somehow the... Like, maybe I need to put unstart campaign above them or something. I don't know. So you can see how all of these units are assigned to the main town, it looks like, right? I don't know that that would work. Anyway, this is with an area town, so I didn't make the map. Like I said, this is Kian's test map. I'm sure his resource areas are bugged though, like this. Well, he is supposed to run it over all the units that are supposed to be added. Anyway, as you can see, the SCVs are at least assigned to the right town now, because the reason why they weren't is because the location wasn't over them. But it appears that the expansion is still attached to the old one instead of the new one. So I don't know why that would be the case, but... Well, that's basically player need, I think, besides the checking if it needs. And yeah, we should be able to add a flag like that. But apparently we need hooks for literally every AI building thing in order for build new to work, so I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had iQuery's issue. Well, where are they assigned to? This is a Hydra thing? You're running it in the Hydra environment? If you're talking about AI rules for that, yeah, it's definitely going to be possible to do that. Well, he's doing some other map. iQuery is reporting a different bug. I don't have access to his map. Your stuff was bugged from the get-go because you didn't draw the location over. The SCVs, as you can see, they're now assigned correctly. But the resources are still taking, or this area town, or whatever, this town in general, is still taking over, taking control of, or not control, but is still being assigned to the wrong town. Whereas, as you can see, the town over here is correctly assigned. Hi. Spin. That's not what I was saying. Your location was just over the command center, not over the SCVs. So the SCVs got assigned to the main town. That's expected behavior. What's broken is the resource assignment. I don't know why this expansion is being assigned to the main base as far as resources go. That's what's broken. This one being broken is also expected because you deliberately made the trigger broken as a way to test out what was going on. But what was not deliberate, presumably, was you fucking up the location. That's what I was DMing you about. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what would be the cause of this, though. What's up, Mutas Dozen? I recall some rumor being that drawing it over the resources was what you had to do, but I didn't think that that was the case. I mean, Blizzard runs their AI scripts over Dragoons and usually doesn't have any problems related to stuff that like that I can see. Now, as you can see, it still gets assigned over here. It means they would never take the geyser, for example, and never really try to build to fully saturate the resources. It's just set free ID, so no, shouldn't have anything to do with it. Oh. Well, the Protoss area town never even had set free ID, so that would definitely cause issues. But something else is clearly fucked. If you sent me the map, I might be able to take a look at it and give you some more information, but based on what I'm hearing from you, there is no immediate explanation for it. I also noticed that, I don't know if this is like it always, but it's like the res areas don't even actually get assigned until 140 frames in for some reason. Oh yeah, you could for sure. I just mean I can't really help you in the current state of things with the information that I have. I don't know why there's any why there are issues with res area assignments in this case. Yeah, still assigned to the main. That's what I was just about to try, basically. So I thought maybe it was related to proximity. It's clearly something else is fucked up here. Oh. Maybe I'm missing unstart campaign in this. I guess that would make sense now that I think about it. Maybe that's what's causing it. Default build off, default min 0. Well, I guess default min I don't need to declare, but... Yeah, I don't know how you forgot that. You said you were pretty close to implementing it. I don't know what stopped you from finishing it, but... Oh, nice. I don't know why default min or default build off, and a bunch of other shit would interact with that at all. But yeah, so it's still bugged. So something is fucked up with start area tone for sure. Wait, did I even add this to the... I don't even remember if I actually added it. I think I did, but... yeah. Mapcraft starts tomorrow, yeah. Do I really need Start Area Town of Melee? What kind of question is that? We need to offer the functionality. It's not in Melee, obviously. We're talking about using it in campaign maps. No, it'll be, I mean, I guess at midnight. I'm not going to be awake by then, but you have until Tuesday, so... Well, I agree with you, DF. I would not use the mechanic, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be offered to people who might find a use for it in other contexts. All right, so that'll do it for today. It was quite a bizarre day. Not a whole lot of work got done, but we managed to almost crack 3 hours. And that's important, man. 3 is important. The daily grind continues. I will be back tomorrow with another stream. Hopefully one more prepared and productive because it'll be map crap. And yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for hanging out. And looking forward to smashing out some map crap across the next couple days. I got a good idea for a map, man. I got a pretty good idea. So stay tuned for that, and I will catch you guys then. No more video uploads until next couple of days, because obviously I'm working today and tomorrow, and then Thursday or Saturday is fraud night. Maybe a podcast with Mesk. So next upload for the Starcraft Let's Play will be Monday, most likely, or Sunday rather. Sunday. So stay tuned, and bye.